All right. Hello, everybody. Hold on. I am in the middle of a major rainstorm. Thunder, lightning. I've got best timing in the world. Shit. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Those of you that are here watching, that's great. Those of you that aren't, you can catch the replay. And today I'm going to be discussing Dragon Energy 101, so to speak. Let's get started. And if you are in the chat, you're a little shy, I cannot run your birthday to know where your dragon is unless you speak up and give me your date of birth, okay? It's just kind of how it goes with the chart stuff. I think that's better. All right. Bear with me. I'm going to bring my notes up. Okay, so a lot of you have asked me about what is ancient or divine astrology. And before I get into that, I want to say that I have been a practicing witch for over 30 years. I started out in Wicca when I was much younger, and that it's not any disrespect against Wicca or Wiccans. It's just for myself, it wasn't enough knowledge and information. There was so much more out there to learn, and so I don't call myself a Wiccan. I am a witch. I work with both the infernal energies as well as the lighter energies. I guess you could say I'm a gray witch in some ways. Um, I have no problem working with energies with Lucifer or Lilith, um, things like that. And a lot of the people that follow me on my website are of all walks of life, from Christians to Muslims to people from India, natives, left hand path, Wiccan, spiritual, shaman. So I have a lot of people from all walks of life come through here. So the person I learned this astrology from is named Dr. Louis Torrey. He's considered a master astrologer of ancient Nostradamus method. How do I put this? I am very grateful for the information he has taught me. And I'm going to share one book with you. I've shared this before with some of the others that have followed me. But if you're new and you want to know more about this would be the book to get, The Power of the Dragon. Now, Dr. Torrey is not a pagan. He calls himself a soul doctor. He has a lot of experience with astrology, but he also is an abductee, and he has been abducted many, many times in his lifetime by the Greys and a couple of other races of extraterrestrial. Now, believe it or that you can believe that or not, but if you're not one of those witches that believes in that we are the only life form, you are deeply mistaken. Okay. Anyway, if you want to know more about him, you can look him up. But that's where I learned this method. However, after I graduated, he said to me, and I don't speak to him anymore, and that's okay. I have great respect for him, but he said to me, I need to go into this world not being a witch and be something else, because you're never going to get anywhere in life by using that mantra. And I was like, what? Okay. I kind of resented that. So I just kind of took it with a grain of salt. I don't care if he's an astrology master or not. Opinions are just like assholes, and everybody's got one, and his opinion stinks, in my opinion. So that's where we are with that. But I am very grateful for the knowledge he has taught me, because it has helped me to make a lot of my spell work 10 times stronger. And I'm able to connect with entities that I never thought I could connect with before on a more extraterrestrial level, if you know what I mean, if that makes any sense. So When I talk about Draco, I'm talking about the constellation of Draco, and I'm also talking about this method of astrology, just like all ancient astrology, really did come from up there, or not God, our futuristic brothers. So this is just me trying to enlighten you a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let me bring up my notes. I apologize for sweating so much. It's like 104 degrees here. You can't tell me there's no such thing as global warming, because it's 104 degrees here and it's hailing. And it was like that last night in Phoenix. It was like 106 degrees and it was hailing. I saw some guy posting on TikTok. This is not normal. It's not normal at all. All right, Dragon Energy 101. What is ancient or divine astrology? Well, let's just begin with this. It was practiced by our ancient ancestors thousands and thousands of years ago, from the Sumerian to the Vedic, the Draconian, the Chinese, and the divine methods. Astrology is an original science. Astronomy is a byproduct of this ancient science, just like alchemy is an ancient science. They go hand in hand, just like the Hermetic law of as above, so below. By using the ancient method of astrology, we can experience the essence of these divine celestial energies we call the stars. After all, every single one of us on this planet, including witches, of course, we are all children of the stars. We all come from the stars. Our indigenous brothers and sisters are probably the one race that is the most connected to the stars, because the star people gave them a lot of their knowledge. Okay, so something to think about. By using the ancient methods of astrology, we can experience the essence of these divine celestial. I said that already. The stars are a blueprint, a celestial message written in the heavens to give us insight, just like those three wise men in the big book of Jewish fairy tales, sorry, the Bible. The three wise men, the Magi, they were astrologers. But please note, I'm not endorsing the Bible in any way, because I am a firm believer that no God ever came down and wrote any books, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. And before I go on, I want you all to think about this, okay? Because every part of the world is under astrological energy, okay? So, United States, July 4th, 1776, we were a Cancer nation. And at one time, we were a very caring nation. Give us you're tired, you're hungry, and you're poor. I mean, even the Statue of Liberty came from France and was given to us as a gift. We're no longer that country of giving us our tired, our hungry, and our poor. We want to close borders. And I'm sorry, but no human being on this planet is considered an immigrant. It's just my opinion. Anyway, a lot of the Abrahamic religions and a few others boast this hoax of God's word, and he came down and he wrote these books. I'm sorry. That's a great big hoax. However, every part of the world has celestial energy on it. And I want you to think of the Middle East and think of Pisces, the sign Pisces. The Middle East is ruled by Pisces energy. Pisces is a very religious sign. It's not an accident. Christians subconsciously chose the fish to represent Christianity. The three major religions all originate from that part of the world: Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Three major religions all came from the Middle East, ruled by Pisces. Now, let me just go back to the Abrahamic religions for a minute, because I did do a broadcast several months ago on the Mazzaroth, which is the Hebrew word for zodiac. And in the ancient First Testament, I see a lot of words and a lot of things they talk about. The only thing, they can, they don't condone sorcery, they don't condone magic, but you'll notice in those words, they don't talk about astrology because the old texts, they were all taught astrology. It wasn't until the popes and the Catholicism came in that that forbidden knowledge was cut off to you. The church knows it, and all those lost books in the Vatican, I guarantee you there's something on this method of astrology in there that they won't share with you. Okay. It's all about control and fear. Now, divine astrology uses the tropical zodiac, while Vedic uses the sidereal, and sidereal means following the constellations, and it turns every house back one sign. So many believe that Vedic is the oldest form of astrology, but you know what? That's simply, it's not true. It is not the oldest form of astrology. The Sumerians were the first to introduce astrology to the world. The Sumerian astrology tablets make up the first historical records of astrology. The Sumerians gave the world astrology. They are literally the oldest astrological documents in history. The Sumerians gave the world um, not just astrology, but how do I put this? I didn't have this in my notes, but I would say metaphysics in some way. Like I said, they're literally the oldest. Um, they named many of the constellations and they defined the nature of numerous bodies of our solar system, aka the Anunnaki, futuristic brothers. Now, I know a lot of you have your own opinions on this, and I have my own opinions too. And what I'm getting ready to say is just my opinion. Okay. Obviously, I don't believe that the earth started in the book of Garden, the book Genesis and the Garden of Eden. That is not where humanity started. Nor do I really necessarily believe in evolution at this point. I did it one time, and that might be true, the evolution part. But once the Anunnaki got here and twisted our DNA up and did genetically modified our human DNA, I'm convinced that they might be our makers in some way. I could be wrong. I guess we're going to have to wait for more disclosure to come out. The Sumerians were among the first astronomers, mapping the stars into sets of constellations, many of which survived in the zodiac and were also recognized by the ancient Greeks. The Sumerians taught the Babylonians how to do astrology, and the Babylonians taught the Greeks and the Romans. Let's see, where was I? They were also aware of the 5 planets that are visible to the naked eye, which are Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I got 5 in there. The Sumerians taught I just said that. They taught them astrology. It says here that astrology is the earliest recorded organized system of astrology, arising by about the second millennium BC. The other ancient methods of astrology were Vedic, which I just explained to you, and that comes from India. And it is very ancient. It's over 6,000 years old. And there's the Draconic. Now, the Draconic astrology is an ancient practice that is meant to give further insight into our soul. This sect of astrology can be used to further understand how you feel deep down in your soul without the effects of any outside influences. This would be why when you get a reading from me, it's called a soul's reading, because I'm able to see into things that modern astrology just simply does not do. And I'm not saying that to say I'm any better than anybody. I have a ton of friends who are or modern astrologers. And one thing I notice on TikTok that you can't really do here in the professional esoteric world. I mean, I think TikTok's kind of a joke, and I think the people that are on there, a lot of them are, not all of them, not all of them, a lot of them are there just for their ego. But when you have other colleagues that you work with, you have to have an open mind. And I can sit with my modern astrologers and have a chat. I remember last summer I took my daughters up to Sedona and we went on a not necessarily a ceremony, but it was a meditation with flute and drums. And my friend Rahilio, who is a shaman up in Sedona, he also is a modern astrologer. And my daughters were sitting in the back seat and I was in the front, and we were driving to our destination. And even my own daughter said, geez, once you and him started talking astrology, it was like you guys were speaking Chinese. And it's true. He and I were sitting there. He was talking about the conjunction and this, and I'm talking about the dragon energy and nodes. And so, what I'm saying is, I'm not dissing my modern astrologers. I'm just saying that this method of astrology is more of a psychological profile of yourself. And I may not be for everybody. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, especially since I'm not just an astrologer, but a witch. That scares people, and some people don't want to do business with me, and that's okay. I don't need a religious zealot telling me what to do and how to live my life. So anyway, that's the draconic method. Now, the Chinese zodiac consists of 12 animals that first appeared in the Gango period, 5th century BC. No one knows the exact date as of when the zodiac was essentially created, but there were officially identified during the Han Dynasty between 206 BC and 9 AD, which is over 2,000 years ago. Then we come to divine astrology, which is the method that I practice. Now, divine astrology is the 16th century Nostradamus method and seems to incorporate Chinese, Babylonian, and Draconian methods into the forecast. Modern astrology gives very little information or ignores it completely, but the north and south nodes of the moon have impact on our lives. Ancient astrology focuses on less mathematical jargon and methods like aspects and degrees, and focuses on dragon energy and the housing system. Simply put, and very easy to understand, ancient astrology is very simple, and it is based on 12 houses of the zodiac, which are the 12 psychological human experiences of all of our lives. It's like a clock. There's 12 hours in a day. There's 12 jurors on a jury. There's 12 sins. There's 12 virtues. There's 12 months in the year. 12 zodiac signs. Everything connects. Nothing stands alone, including this. So, and it's 12. 12 is a very metaphysical number. So, just check something here. It's very quiet today, which is also maybe a good thing, I guess. Okay, let me go back to my notes. So when I'm talking about the north and south nodes of the moon, my daughter had asked me one day, how are you going to explain this to witches? And I sat there and I said to myself, well, you would think out of all the walks of life, it would be the esoteric world, not just witches, because occultists, how are you going to explain this to them to make them understand that? And I usually went into it with the mindset that you would think they would get this more than the average soul, but maybe I'm expecting too much from people because some don't. I've even seen on TikTok where some witches tell you not to pay attention to anything with the lunar nodes. And I kind of disagree with that, but it's your magic and it's your choice, and I'm not going to judge you. However, even in the left hand path, and I have taken a lot of classes on the left hand path, I work with a lot of hour lords because they have meaning, especially when the hour lord is in Saturn. That's when you want to do your most baneful magic, especially on a Saturday. That's for another time. We're talking dragons, not magic, which dragons are magical. But let me talk about the dragon's head. This is the north node on your astrology chart. So when you go to a free site like astrocafe.com or tarot.com, those two sites are the only two I'm familiar with where you can get a free chart run and you can actually see all your aspects. I want you to go and look for your north and your south nodes. That's going to tell you where your where your dragon's energy is going to lie. Now, the north node of the moon is positive energy. This is actually where it's placed by your house and sign is where you're destined to shine, where you're to rise to the top. Some other students that have graduated with me that are religious will say this is where you swim to the heavens and to be in God's kingdom. I can't say that because I am not a Christian. So that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know if you guys can hear all the thunder, but Mother Earth is putting on one hell of a freaking show right now. It is amazing. Anyway, it's a positive energy. In Chinese, Sumerian, and ancient astrology, it gives a tremendous amount of information to the placements in the natal chart. And like I said, modern astrology doesn't focus on it much. Unfortunately, though, because it's been blatantly ignored, you really lose a lot of accurate celestial and vital information. I want my witches and the ones that are in the tarot realm to think of the dragon's head as the tarot card, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. What is the Wheel of Fortune? Think about it. The Wheel of Fortune is where our soul is being pushed towards their own dragon's head of self-realization, where the soul's purpose in life is on the road to happiness, to success, to achieve greatness. It may be scary too to get out of your comfort zone and sit on that dragon's head, but that's where you're meant to be. Okay. In many years of myself studying the esoteric world, I've learned that the dragon in itself holds as much, if not more, facts and power than the entire complexity of one's astrological chart. I found the placements and the essence of the dragon's secrets to be a total major contribution to one's failures and successes. This is why and how Nostradamus was able to make those predictions. He incorporated the ancient Chinese, or Occidental, as some call it, the Babylonian, and the Draconic methods and created his own system called the divine. I also believe Nostradamus, after looking at his stars myself, he was a warlock, but he wrote in quatrains and he made it so understandable because he was living in times where the church would kill him for this knowledge. So he had to play it safe, and his life wasn't easy. But he was a scryer, okay, and he had magical abilities to see that. And not only was he gifted in reading the stars, but he was also a psychic that gave him those abilities. Okay, the dragon's tail now. Let's move on to that. The south node of the moon, that's negative energy. It's also called the dragon's tail. It's a form of our karmic residue, our past life experiences. The soul, all of us, each and every human being, including your astrologer, our soul feels naturally comfortable here because why? Think about it. We've lived this life before. We have had past life incantations. Because we've done this before, we feel very safe and secure sitting on our dragon's tail. Mine's in Virgo. And there's certain negativities to me that are never going to go away. One of those is being picky and fussy. And yes, I am picky and fussy about a lot of things. But the universe wants you to experience other things in life. Like I said, we feel secure here, but this energy, if we stay on our dragon's tail, is dragging our souls towards past life accomplishments, past life incantations, inner fears, weaknesses. The universe wants you to experience other things besides fear and dogmatic religious viewpoints. In many cases, following the order of the dragon head and tail can lead to greatest success or greatest failures. It can lead to pain, fear, drama, and even death. A lot of people lose their life when they are cruising on their dragon's tail. But for those of you witches that don't follow a lunar map, then I don't know what to tell you. You're fucked then. Pardon my French, because hell, where the hell is it? I had it here. There's a book called you get it through Llewellyn's. It's gone. It's the moon sign book for the year. Okay. I use that to document my dragon days. Now, I have a software that I run and it's very, very accurate, but I'm getting ready to teach a class on this in the fall. And it's going to be more in depth than what I'm giving you now. And I'm going to teach each and every one of you how to open that book up and get a general idea of where your energy is. It may not be precise and exact because you don't have the software I'm working on, but damn it, you're going to get some information out of it. You're going to know at least 2 or 3 days out of the month that are going to be danger zones for you, and you should lay low and watch out. Okay. Where was I? This, like I said, Nostradamus incorporated these methods and created his own and was able to tap into things that a lot of people don't see. I'm going to use an example of something, and this is an example my teacher, in fact, he talks about it in this book. Okay. For example, let's talk about the composer Bach and Schubert. Okay. World famous composers. They both had dragon tails in Libra. Okay. And this isn't to say that some of the aspects of the dragon's tail can bring some positiveness. This is where the positive does come in. Like I said, Bach and Schubert, dragon tail and Libra, making them incredible composers. Okay. Sometimes, and usually for karmic reasons, the tail can and will produce wonderful services to society. And in this case, the soul's past life came through musical work. And it came to fruition for others to enjoy, to hear them. So I'm not saying that there's all bad things on our tail, but when it's for our own success, you're not supposed to stay in the tail. You're supposed to get to the head. Now I'm going to show you something, though. I'm going to tell you something about this. Even when the universe is on a universal axis of universal energy. And right now, if you go and look at where the north and south nodes are placed worldwide, we are in a Gemini Sagittarian tail. Now, Gemini rules transportation, communication, it rules postal service, it rules cars, Amtrak, anything with wheels, it rules. But it is also ruled by Mercury, the messenger of the gods. And on the astro health aspect, Gemini rules the lungs, arms, respiratory system. You don't think it's an accident? It's not an accident that we're in a COVID pandemic. Not to mention back in January 12th of 2020, Saturn conjuncted Pluto. That started it all off. Now, there is something that I disagree with that my teacher had taught me that I do not totally disagree with. Now, I know in modern astrology, and that's kind of what deters people away from it. It gets confusing. We've got trines, we've got this. Oh my God, my Jupiter's conjuncting my Pluto at 40 at 10 degrees. I mean, that can confuse the hell out of someone. And in ancient astrology, yes, back in January 12th of 2020, Saturn did conjunct Pluto, and that was very dark energy, okay? And it hit the world full force. However, if you're not born with that natal placement in your chart, and you get those placements, when you get a reading from me, you get your planets and aspect, and it'll tell you what's, ascendant is conjuncting your sun, or any those are your aspects. The ones that happen globally, well, yes, they're going to have impact on the world, but they're not going to affect the individual quite as much unless that individual is natally born with that placement. So that's where I disagree with the whole modern astrology thing. Just sitting here listening to the thunder. All right, and that is about it on it. Was, like I said, this is short and sweet. There's not too many people in the chat, so nobody's putting in their birthday. So you don't have to. That's fine. You can go to tarot.com or astrocafe.com, and you can get that information there of where your north and south nodes are. The only thing you won't get is an explanation of what they mean, because I'm not here to help you. So um, and that's just the way it is. But that'll give you just a little insight into your dragon's head and tail. And for my witches, if you know your dragon's head and tail, so let's use myself as an example. Dragon head in Pisces. Okay, people with a dragon head in Pisces, we're kind of people where we can understand people's differences. Sometimes we are the what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict resolution people. The meat between the sandwich of two people fighting. We have that energy. um, it creates great astral projection having that placement. Mine's in my third house, sitting right on my third house of mental clarity. So I will not ever really be affected too much by mental illness or depression. That doesn't mean I don't get depressed, but I mean, I'll never have to go to a psychiatrist and get meds for it. But that's my natal placement, and it gives me great power and divination and scrying like Nostradamus did. Not that I'm anything like him, but we each have a power within our chart. And so when we're working on our own, like a lot of witches do a lot of self-care spells. If you know where your dragon is, do that self-care spell when the moon is in. I'll use myself as an example. When the moon goes into Pisces, I will try and do a self-care spell on myself to even to protect myself. It's great. There is no bad time to do protection, but if you want to give it an extra oomph, then you're going to want to know where your dragon's head is and do your protection spells when that moon is in Pisces. I'm using myself as the example. So when the moon goes into Pisces, I do a lot of work on protection for myself, self-care, putting up my walls. It actually gives me a lot of insight and power into tapping into my ancestors and things like that. Now, I am going to say this too. I used to work in AM radio, and I used to actually have a radio show with Dr. Tori called Astrology with T. And then after we did that, I started doing other radio shows on another network, internet-wise. I have interviewed some of the best psychics in the world. Okay. Some psychics are charlatans, and the beauty of my astrology is that I am able to get your chart, pull your chart, and I can tell. I can even tell if you're a witch or not. I can tell what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. I can tell if if you are a psychic, or if you're just a used car salesman who's good at talking a good talk and walking a good walk. I can see that. But I have interviewed some of the best psychics in the world, and they're true, 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 true. One of those is Robbie Thomas. He is a psychic profiler out of Ontario, Canada. He's been on ABC, NBC. He has been on many shows on major broadcast networks. That man's the real deal. Another psychic that I know very well is an animal psychic named William Constantine. He's also a regular psychic. Um, William has this gift with animals, and I know this for a fact because not just because I've seen his stars, but every time I get on the phone with William, I have 5 cats. My cats don't usually give me the time of day unless it's dinner time. When I'm on the phone with him, ooh, I don't know if you guys can hear that thunder, but it is thundering. I hope you guys can hear me because I just realized I had my speakers off. Maybe that's just for my benefit. But anytime I'm on the phone with this man, my cats like bombard me. They encircle me, and I'm going, oh my God, they must know I'm on the phone with him. He has a gift. So those of you who do and are looking for psychics, there's many in my circle that are very good. Just don't fall for anybody. And I see some things on TikTok that really displease me with how people are really working the esoteric world in a negative way. All right. If you have any questions, this would be your moment to ask them. Otherwise, I am going to log off of here. Um, I said I am going to be hosting a class on this in the fall sometime. It'll be in September sometime. Won't be any sooner than that. I am going to be launching a Patreon page in August, and that's going to take my priority first. And I am going to be hosting a class on this, on Ancient Astrology 101. It'll be about a 2 or 3 hour class. And I'm going to just walk you through the housing system, how Nostradamus would do a reading, walking you through the housing system, knowing your dragons, things like that. And if you have any questions, holler. Like I said, this is the basics. I don't give all the keys to the kingdom. That comes for a price. I had to pay thousands of dollars to study this, so nothing's going to come free. But I do invest in my clients, so my clients know that. So I'm noticing there's no questions, so I'm out of here. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday. And if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to post them here on the video. Don't hesitate. I will answer them as they come in. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.